I mean, they weren't assholes. They were nice men, but they were hardcore.
Sam Elliott, the mustache, the voice, the cowboy every other cowboy wishes they could be. For 6 decades, he's been Hollywood's unshakable symbol of grit. The man who could say more in one stare than most actors say in an entire monologue. But here's what fans never knew. Behind the calm presence and Western swagger, Elliot has carried a quiet fury for years. A list. A blacklist of actors he's never forgiven. Some for the way they treated him, others for the way they treated the craft itself. For decades, Sam stayed silent. He played the roles, shook the hands, walked the carpets, and kept his thoughts to himself. But now at 80 years old, the silence is gone. The real story is coming out, and when you hear the names on Elliott's list, you'll never look at them, or him, the same way again. Because this isn't Hollywood gossip, it's a code. The cowboy code Elliott has lived by, and the very code that turned admiration into resentment. And it all starts with one actor who forced him to walk off set and never look back. Section 1. Authenticity versus Hollywood Cowboys. Sam Elliott never pretended to be a cowboy. He didn't need to. Long before Hollywood ever handed him a script, he was already living the life. He grew up around ranches, barns, and dirt roads, steeped in the discipline of the Old West. When Sam spoke on screen, you didn't just hear a line. You heard years of dust, sweat, and silence etched into his voice. That was the difference. He wasn't acting. He was channeling something real, and maybe that's why he never forgave Kevin Costner. To Sam, Costner was Hollywood's picture-perfect version of a cowboy. Polished boots, spotless shirts, cinematic sunsets, always hitting his face at just the right angle. Costner's performance in Wyatt Earp and later as the rugged patriarch in Yellowstone might have impressed critics and earned millions of fans. But Sam saw something else entirely. To him, it wasn't grit. It was dress-up, a fantasy cowboy crafted for people who'd never dug fence posts, never smelled cattle at sunrise, never bled under a wide-open sky. Insiders say Sam once scoffed to a friend that Costner plays a rancher like it's cosplay. That wasn't just a jab. It was a statement, a rejection of what Hollywood was selling as authenticity, and it went further. At one point, producers even offered Sam a cameo in Yellowstone. For many actors, that would have been a dream, a way to pass the torch to a younger generation. But Sam didn't hesitate. He flat out refused. His reason? He called the show a soap opera with a cowboy hat. It wasn't just about declining a role. It was about drawing a line in the sand. A quiet but undeniable rejection of the entire glossy vision Yellowstone represented. To Sam, the West wasn't meant to be glamorous. It wasn't built on melodrama. It was built on restraint. Silence. Men who said less but meant more. That was his code. And that's why whenever Costner and Elliott ended up in the same room, you could feel the tension. One producer described it perfectly. They never raised their voices, but the chill between them could freeze the desert. What started as a difference in acting style turned into something much deeper. A battle over who really had the right to wear the cowboy hat. And while Costner stood for the Hollywood version of the West, Elliott stood for the real one. But Costner wasn't the only actor who drew Elliott's fire, because soon after, another name would send shockwaves through Hollywood, and this time, the criticism wasn't quiet. Section 2. The British Outsider. In 2021, Sam shocked Hollywood when he blasted The Power of the Dog, and especially Benedict Cumberbatch. He mocked the accent, the posture, and called the performance prissy. Fans and critics fired back, labeling Elliott outdated, but Sam didn't flinch. To him, the West wasn't a costume or a concept. It was a code, and Cumberbatch had no right to rewrite it. Section 3. Kutcher in the New Hollywood. For Elliott, acting was sacred, not a shortcut to fame. That's why Ashton Kutcher symbolized everything wrong with modern Hollywood. On Netflix's The Ranch, the two look like family on screen, but behind the scenes, Elliott muttered, "He's a decent guy, but no real actor." Kutcher represented a new system built on followers and branding instead of craft, and Elliott saw it as erosion, not evolution. Section 4. Nicolas Cage, Chaos versus Restraint. Elliot believed the strongest acting whispered. Cage shouted, wild eyes, flailing limbs, sudden explosions. For fans, it was brilliance. For Sam, it was chaos. Even while filming Ghost Rider together, Elliot kept his distance. Later, he described Cage's work with a brutal metaphor. More firework than flame. Big bang, no heat. Section 5. Jeff Bridges, The Brother Lost. The feud that cut the deepest wasn't with a rival, but with a friend. Sam and Jeff Bridges bonded through The Big Lebowski, a friendship built on a humility and simplicity. But after Bridges' Oscar win, Sam noticed a change. The Hollywood polish, the curated image. His cryptic remarks said it all. Some folks change, others just show who they always were. The silence between them since then has been louder than any argument. Section 6. Jared Leto, The Method Gone Mad. Then came Jared Leto, the final straw. His extreme method antics, from mailing rats to castmates to never-breaking character, were hailed as dedication. Elliot called it theatrics. When he heard Leto was attached to a project he liked, Sam walked away without hesitation. To him, that wasn't art. It was a circus. Conclusion: The Last Cowboy, Sam Elliott's Blacklist, was never about bitterness. It was about protecting a code. Honesty, restraint, and authenticity. Costner, Cumberbatch, Kutcher, Cage, Bridges, Leto, each in Elliott's eyes betrayed the craft in their own way. At 80, Sam doesn't care about applause or trends. He cares about truth, because in a town full of noise and pretenders, he stands alone. The last real cowboy. But what do you think? Was he being harsh or just honest?